talk of the day, and then we will have some unconferencing time, which I'll talk about. So, yes, welcoming to the stage, Andrew Doull, who is the developer of Unangband, an Angband variant. Also wrote ASCII Dreams, a roguelike developer blog, co-founded Roguelike Radio, which we're going to be talking about today, coined the term procedural content generation, and has been a board game and TTRPG designer. So, welcome, Andrew, all the way from Australia, I believe. Far time zone.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm just going to mute out because I'll get a bit of reverb off my speakers. So, okay. Welcome to Roguelike Radio, a podcast where all the participants are wonderful people and go on to have amazing lives. Carl's asked me to do a lightning talk on Roguelike Radio, but I'm honestly not sure what I should say about it. So this is mostly just to point out our existing body of work and say it's there, you should go listen to it. Probably. I'm just going to warn you now, as a speaker of New Zealand English, I'm going to talk about 20% faster than any human would normally do. So we're going to get through these slides in well under 10 minutes. That's fine, unless you're the transcription team, apologies, because you're probably one of those sickos who listens to podcasts at 125% speed. Roguelike Radio was started with a simple idea. I want to listen to people talking about roguelikes. Who knew that would be popular? And today I want to talk to you about how this worked out from 2011 to the present day. We begin with a question that I feel like I've been forced to answer many times. Why is this a thing that should obviously exist, which is not being made? For me, that's an Angband variant with dungeons that feel real. Conversations and writing about procedural content generation is distinct from procedural generation. A sci-fi TTRPG which uses realistic rocket physics with all that entails. So this is an entirely selfish project that looks impressive simply because it's kept going. Where we are today as a show is just a consequence of the creation of small amounts of ongoing work, support from the community, and some occasional big picture steering and oversight. But unlike many other projects I've worked on, I've collaborated with a large number of people, chiefly Darren Gray, who's been the host on the majority of episodes, but also a number of roguelike developers whose games we've talked about, and then have come on the show as panelists, and also members of the broader roguelike community and volunteers. We started auspiciously, literally. The problem with being Cassandra somewhere for long enough is you get to live through the consequences of your predictions. Now, I want you to cast your minds back to 2011 and try to remember what you were doing. I was being a full-time father of twins and had a lot of time to think about things and talk about them and not much time to commit to full-time projects. Podcasts got me through a lot of sleepless nights. I've built a roguelike timeline to try and help you remember where you were in 2011. At the start of the green line here, which represents the number of episodes we've released in our initial run. And I position this against the broader picture of roguelikes, which are broken up into 4 phases shown in yellow. The pre-7-day RL phase feels very much like a lot of individual developers and collaborators, each working on a fantasy heartbreaker, to steal a term from the tabletop role-playing community. Sometimes those games will get released. I released mine, Unangband, mostly because it was just the mod of another game. The 7-day roguelike competition starts what I term the roguelike renaissance. Rapid innovation in design, roguelikes on mobile phones, coffee break roguelikes, spelunking on PC. There's a real story to be told here by a better scholar than me. The Xbox 360 release of Spelunky triggers the indie roguelike scene from 2012 to the release of Slay the Spire in 2019, which starts with much greater participation in the 7-day RL and then is followed by roguelikes appearing in much greater quantities on Steam. The first Roguelike Radio largely coincides with the indie scene, but was heavily inspired and indebted to this early roguelike renaissance. And finally, the Roguepocalypse. Let's talk about the structure of the show in more detail. Each episode covers one topic, either a game or a broader topic such as magic systems, and occasionally an interview with a roguelike developer or expert. Episodes run slightly longer than 60 minutes and come out after they're recorded and edited rather than any regular schedule. We've also not had, as far as I'm aware, anyone give us a game to play for free that has resulted in an episode. We have been given games, those have not resulted in episodes. I really don't have time to list all the topics we covered, but luckily roguelikeradio.com has a list of all prior episodes, and because of the format we've chosen, these episode titles usefully convey the topic being covered. Just be aware that the RSS feed has a size limit, which means the oldest episodes are not available on the feed and you have to go to the website to get them. It turns out that managing the RSS feed has been one of the technically most problematic part of the whole process. Also, it turns out roguelikes take a lot of time to play. Who knew? This is a democratizing process, which means that we can't pretend present ourselves as experts. Instead, we'll often get a knowledgeable volunteer from the community on to talk through the late game, or sometimes the mid game, and only occasionally because Darren's quite a good player, the game. All I'm interested in when I'm hosting the show is that you have something interesting to say. That's why I choose not to introduce guests with any kind of background that may convey some kind of position of authority. On the show, we're all the same @symbol. We welcome panelists with English as a second language, speech impediments, minority backgrounds, and alternative voices, including people of colour and the LGBTQIA+ community, and we never get enough. Did I mention roguelikes take a lot of time to play? We don't lack for conversation topics to cover or games to play. There's plenty of old games we still haven't covered. Amiga's probably the most egregious example of this, but there's plenty others. And it turns out when you have an infinitely long game, some people end up playing it for a very long time, and they end up knowing a lot about the game. But also life, because there's something about repeatedly pulling an unarmed bandit machine that reflects and is reflected by the real world. Games are a testable set of rules. I've had the pleasure of working with a libertarian who keeps releasing games which keep undercutting his thesis, affirming the power of collective action, that sort of thing. And speaking of lies, here's some statistics. I've never understood what's especially secret about these numbers, but I wanted to put some numbers out there because I strongly believe people should be transparent about this sort of thing. Also, don't think these numbers are especially accurate. Apple appears to have reset their statistics sometime in 2015, and I recall roughly 3,500 listeners from the FeedBurner statistics at some point before FeedBurner went dark. Thanks, Google. I also want to talk a little bit about how individual episodes get made. Darren's in the United Kingdom, I'm in Australia, and most of our guests are in the United States. So scheduling goes extremely well, and we never have a problem. And I've only slept through one episode I was supposed to appear on. I think just one. My number one piece of advice about recording a podcast is that if you spend money on one thing, spend it on the recording software. You want client side rather than server side. Using our current setup, we lose about 30 seconds of audio per 60 minutes due to network issues of various kinds that are not in our control. The next thing you want is a room that has lots of soft furnishings to dampen the echoes and cut down on background noise. Microphones almost are never an issue. We recorded 5 people using a headset set in the middle of a wooden table one time. The edit is mostly about equalizing volumes, separating overtalk and some audio cleanup. I spend a lot of time doing reduction and removing lip smacks, but that's because I'm paranoid about that. We've had a lot of success using the levelator in the past, but since I don't think that runs on modern operating systems, we just manually level things now. I just wanted to pick out a few highlights. I don't have too much commentary to add to these, except that the episode on designing for the visually impaired was especially important for me because I had a family member who was blind. It also has the audio of somebody playing an ASCII roguelike using a screen reader, which is just incredible to listen to. We do have a clips episode as well, where we got listeners to do voice recordings, which we threaded into the show. Now, editing's always been a challenge. I prefer to keep the original order, but for instance, the Binding of Isaac episode is almost a complete re-edit because I started the interview and then did the introduction about halfway through the conversation. I really shouldn't be the person doing this. I have a very wet-sounding mouth. I smack my lips a lot. I and I are, I go nowhere with thoughts and overrun other speakers. And I'm not saying this in a self-deprecating manner, but because I've edited so many of the episodes, I know where my weaknesses are. And so every episode I don't appear in is a highlight, not just for me, but for you, the listener, as well. But the biggest highlight as a community was being right. We knew there was something special about roguelikes, even in the early days of Usenet Flame Wars, and a year-long project failures and rewrites. It took the 7-day roguelike competition and some talented insiders and outsiders, but also a lot of effort and discussion by people who had simply been around since Rogue was written. We fucking won. Roguelikes have taken over, and we ended up getting grumpy and making slides with words like the Roguepocalypse on them. And apocalypse is a revelation of knowledge. We were right. We're at the roguelike celebration. So let's celebrate. Any questions?
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yes, and we have some time for questions if people want to get those up. But yeah, I think it's just really special. And
I'm going to have to figure this out because I have a question slide on the wrong screen because of my presentation. So I'm just going to see if Carla can get through to me.
Yeah.
on
It's all
on the
right.
other
We
screen.
got the face to face, and yeah, I mean it's great.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, we like to have some like historic talks at Roguelike Celebration because one of the things I love about roguelikes is that it really like holds on to its history, and so much stuff exists in a form that like can be connected, and people stay in the scene for so long, right? We can talk to people who were involved, and I think Roguelike Radio has had so many guests and been such a big part of the community for a long time that given that yeah we're living in a time when talking about what a roguelike is taken another turn of just like everything's a roguelike now. um, it felt like a good time to do a retrospective, so thank you for taking on
yeah.
the task of
No, thank you, Carla, for inviting me and forcing me to come along and do this. I realise I've gone even faster than I had planned, so, which is the downside for this, but that's absolutely fine. Yeah, and thanks as well. I mean, you've been a guest on the show,
I have.
and yep, and we have had a large number of guests. Much like the episodes, I started to put together a list of every guest we had, and just realised it was a futile task. There's
That's
just been so many
impossible.
people. Yep,
Yeah.
we've just had so
Yeah.
many people on the show, and it has been largely enjoyable. I know Darren's presented at the Roguelike Celebration previously as well, and so
uh, yeah, I
there's
mean,
quite a
I'll
bit
let
of
you in on a secret, and then if we're looking, when we're trying to figure out who to try and invite to Roguelike Celebration, looking at who has appeared on an episode of Roguelike Radio has often been a handy checklist to go down to look for inspiration for sourcing Roguelike Celebration talks, since Roguelike Radio has also done a great job of finding people with interesting work that are willing
yeah,
to talk about it.
and we are back. That's probably something that we haven't gone into too much. Was the highest we had wasn't intentional at all. I just believe Darren was a bit busy. I've been busy as well. I'm working full time now, and my interests have largely moved elsewhere from roguelikes. But there was nothing stopping anyone watching this, recording the episode, and sending it to us, or saying, "Hey, I want to appear on the show. I've got something burning to talk about." You were wrong about what you said about Python in 2013, or whatever.
Yeah, and I love too. I think it's great you talked a bit about your ethos of we're all just at signs. That's something that's been important to Roguelike Celebration as well. Is that, and even like as someone who's had a lot of games that then like didn't ship, and there's a lot of stuff as a game developer, and I think stuff in the roguelike community where you have people who are extremely knowledgeable and dedicated but don't have like big name games, and it's just very hard. A lot of conferences put a lot of weight on like your accolades, and so I think it's really great that Roguelike Radio and we try to do this too, of like we're all here because we
Yeah,
know interesting things and want to talk about them.
yeah. Your number one qualification is you played the game we want to talk about, and you have something interesting to say. It's that simple. We don't put any weight on, hey, you've been here forever, or you're the first person to come on the scene. As long as you've got something that you want to say, you're more than invited on the show.
Yeah. Well, excellent. I think that that's coming us up on time, and this has been a really nice way to end our Saturday. So thank you so much, and thank you for making the time zones work to be able to present live. I think it's fully Sunday for you, right? You're a full day
Yes, it
ahead.
is. Yes, it is. We're in the future, which is why I'm working on science fiction now. So
That's right, yeah. Well,
yeah,
thank you so much, and I hope, yeah, people, if you didn't know Roguelike Radio is back, go listen to Roguelike Radio and look through the backlog, because there is just a wealth
yeah.
of great stuff there.
Thank you.